Welcome to the Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast, the show for real estate couples about how to close more deals in the bedroom. My name is Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And each week we deep dive into juicy, intentional, sexy conversations, sharing with you what it takes to create balance in your intimate relationships and your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here. Shall we begin? What's clicking, chicken?
Hey, baby. Beat you to the punch. What's clicking, chicken?
What's clicking, chicken?
What's happening, hot stuff?
I don't have another one after that.
Okay.
Not now. Not in this moment. What's happening? We are working on this flip. It is getting close to being done.
Yes, that is true.
And we referenced this flip in another episode, so go check it out.
Yeah, that's true.
And
How to do a flip without flipping out.
Right. And in case you're wondering, I'm Bill Jameson.
Yes, and I am Nancy Jameson.
And this is Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast.
Yes, it is. So we appreciate you guys being here. This is the show that gives realtors like you and me permission to believe the successful balance of their intimate relationship and their business is not only possible, it's the jam.
It is the jam. And the jam on that bread is all about what, baby?
It begins with you. It's all about the sweetness. Like we bring the sweetness to the bread being the money. Mm-hmm. You know, two pieces of bread together.
Not much of a sandwich.
Not much of a sandwich. I mean, it's great and all.
It's great to have bread.
Yeah, great to have bread. However, having luscious, delicious, velvety, homemade, organic jam, whatever your flavor, meaning joy, abundance, and maturity, adding that jam to the bread equals one extraordinarily foodgasmic sandwich.
Yeah, and that jam being that the jam is joy and abundance and maturity in all of your relationships.
Mm-hmm. And you know that relationship begins with you, and the relationship begins with me. So
sweet.
If you're all about that and learning more about how to create jam on your bread, starting with yourself, then again, you're in the right place. So we appreciate you very much for being here. Absolutely. This is where we share our stories, the story of us, our experiences, our resources, our tools, our accountability programs, our coaching programs for you and all, mega agents, individual and couples alike to increase their emotional and financial peace. So again, thanks for being here.
Awesome. So a little housekeeping. If you are in your car driving, but yet happen to be, stopped or in a parking lot or at a stoplight where
sitting outside of a listing appointment
because you're early.
Yes.
Because you're early and you have a couple extra minutes to prepare. Go to iTunes, please, and leave us a 5-star review. And then your other action item in this moment is to share our podcast with a realtor or a mortgage person or any other couple that would benefit from listening to the podcast or may benefit from our coaching. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a couple. Actually, a lot of our coaching clients actually are singles, and they just believe in what the possibility is, right? Mm-hmm. So
developing that nourishing relationship with self first so that they can bring all that jam to the couple bread.
Yes, to the couple bread. Nice.
That's great.
Awesome. So we start off. So if you want to reach out to us, then you can DM us at Instagram or reach out to us at Gmail at Sex Money Real Estate. That's it.
Awesome.
I always feel like I'm missing a little something when I say that. Sex money. Like I need a verb.
That is a verb.
It is a verb?
Sex, money, real estate. All of those are verbs.
That's funny.
I mean, it's doing sex, doing money, and doing real estate.
Heard.
Well, maybe it's being. How about it's being sex, being money, and being real estate?
Got it.
It's about the state of being.
Got it.
Be, do, have. That's the principle. It's not do, be, have. That's your nugget for today.
Oh my gosh, my mind is blown. Poof. Okay, so we start every episode off with magic. That is that we define magic as your ability to influence ourselves, others, and life in an empowering way. And I'm real curious, Nancy. Real curious.
What your magic is for this afternoon? This episode today?
What is my magic this afternoon?
What is your magic?
Oh my gosh. So check this out.
Okay.
It's not quite magic yet. It'll probably be more magic in theory, this will really be magic on the other side of things. But I'm actually getting a hernia worked on tomorrow, operated on. I'm having a procedure.
Mm-hmm.
And the magic is the surrender in actually doing it. So I've been hanging out with this friend of mine for a while, Mr. Hernia, and it doesn't like bother me tremendously, but it bothers me enough, when I do certain exercises or sometimes in lovemaking that I'm just ready to be complete with Mr. Hernia and send him on his way. So I found through an amazing referral source, a great guy that works on these all the time, and he's going to have me in and out in just a couple of hours. And I am super excited to hang out and watch some shows and relax for a couple of days as I heal, and again say goodbye to this hernia. Mm-hmm. So that is it's magic and pre-magic all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And again, the surrender that goes with it. To actually find the guy to do it, to surrender to the process of having it done. And how about surrendering to like, okay, here's my life for you, Mr. Surgeon, to, and again, this is not like, I know it's not heart surgery or brain surgery or whatever, but yet it's still, I'm anesthesia going under for an hour and a half or an hour. And
yeah, you're going to be intubated.
I mean, for me, that feels like surrender.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. I mean, when was the last time you had surgery?
Actually, it's funny you should ask.
Okay.
1985 when I had my appendix out.
When your appendix. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow.
So it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm. It has. You're so healthy.
I know. The doctors are. When I go to fill out those questionnaires and I answer no to all their questions, they're like, "What is?
Are you lying?
Yeah, right.
Are you sure about that, Mr. Jameson?"
Right. So anyway, but that's my magic.
Yes, that is beautiful. Your movie ticket is definitely full. By the way, the boys have you queued up, watching all kinds of movies this weekend.
Yeah,
with them.
It's going to be awesome. They're camped out in the room and.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna watch all the movies.
I'm at your beck and call, Daddy. It's been very sweet. We're all totally on board, ready to be with you, your nurses and such.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Awesome. How about you? You got any magic going on?
Oh my gosh, lots of magic. Yeah. So I went to the cabin this past weekend with my dad and my sister Allison, and so my father's nearly 72, and he lives in New Jersey with his wife and my dad's whole side of the family, and Elaine's whole side of the family, and he drove down from New Jersey to north of Atlanta. And my sister and I drove up from Atlanta and spent 4 days in the North Georgia mountains at an Airbnb, and it was extraordinary. We hiked, we laughed, we cried, we had some very robust, direct dialogue. We ate delicious food, we cooked, we went out. We did yoga together. We slept outside together. We went star searching together, and we had a fire. I mean, it was extraordinary. It was just so extraordinary. And so what I really appreciate, I mean, we hiked, a 3,100 elevation of one mountain, and then we went down into, 1,200 steps down into a gorge of another. So it was just the dichotomy of that. And again, here's my dad, who's nearly 72, and it was just, he's so great, and my sister's great, and it was just this beautiful experience. So as we're coming down, so if that is not enough magic, as we're coming down from one of our hikes back to the car, all of a sudden, the Wi-Fi kicks in, and like I get all these text messages. And so one of the text messages was a client of ours who we are in conversation with, but her house, she did not want to list her house until this time next year. And she's like, nope, I'm ready to go. I want to list my house. And I want to list my house. And that means that my mom wants to list her house and my mom wants to buy a house. And so we were aware of, like, again, part of this transaction, but just to be able to receive that text message, and it's a lot. I mean, it's probably going to be, $1.5 million worth of sales by the time it's all said and done, maybe even 1.75 actually. So it's just really beautiful. It's a testament to who we are and how we cultivate relationships, how we foster and nurture them over the course of the duration of, our 2-decade-long business, and it's really beautiful.
Yes.
And so what I love about that, again, is being in service and the nurturing of those relationships. And yet it allows, like, our lifestyle, how we've built it, and our business, how we've built it. It is seamless between life and personal. And that's very intentional. That's how it's the sustainability. That's the balance of it. And to be hiking and on vacation with my parents, my dad and my sister, and then to receive this text message come in, it was just like, again, it's just beautiful ebb and flow of PPC balance, production and production capability.
That's how we do it, baby.
Yeah. It's extraordinary.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you.
Great magic. Snap, snap, snap.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
All
awesome.
Right.
So our podcast today is about how to write and stick to an irregular or fluctuating budget.
Yeah. There's that word, budget. It's such a trigger word. And yet it's one of the very, like, one of the most foundational things that you can do for not only your personal life, but your business. And so today we're going to focus on the irregular budget or fluctuating budget, depending on what you call it, because we are entrepreneurs and
pretty much experts at a
fluctuating budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to roll for 2 decades in a fluctuating budget there's definitely we've got some stripes in that for sure. And again, budget, the word budget, trigger word, full of emotions, pain points, stress, so much negative energy built around that, so much judgment around that. Like, I get why people are so hesitate to one, look at their money, write a budget, stick to a budget.
So confronting.
All of it. We even talked about not putting budget in the title of the podcast because it was so confronting.
Yeah, and it may cost us downloads, cost us, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yet, we really feel like the people who really want to be intentional about their lives and what they're playing for, we'll see that as budget in the title as being an opportunity to tune in and fill their tank up a little bit around that.
And completely maybe recontextualize the relationship to money or the relationship to having a budget. So we did that, in the beginning when we finally surrendered to the budget. Now, listen, remember, we went through bankruptcy. We've gone in and out of credit card debt and paid it off. And so we've been, down in the barrel of despair in the pits, and we've been high on the hog too. And so when we were in the process of maturing our conversation and relationship around money, we too removed the word budget or, doing our budget and switched it to invoicing. Instead of paying the bills, we were like, okay, well, we have, we pay for a marketing invoice or lead generating invoice or like a postcard invoice. Well, then why don't we just pay the invoice of the electrical bill and the internet or any of that stuff too? So definitely. So that's the first thing. So, if you don't like budget, then call it something else.
Right. Absolutely. And, speak it out loud, talk about it, be about it. And not everybody's going to be receptive to it because money is, again, it feels like sex or religion feels like a taboo, taboo subject.
Supercharged.
Supercharged to a lot of people. If you speak because you're feeling abundant and have a bunch of it, then you're bragging, right? And so there's judgment around that. And if you don't have any, well, guess what? There's judgment around that too.
Yeah, being broke.
There's there doesn't seem to be any win around talking about money. And yet at the end of the day, money is currency. It's energy. It's all around us. It moves in and out of our lives. And to not recognize money for what it is being a part of how we function and live and do things, is to be in denial. So what we really want to do with this whole budget thing is kind of bring a few things to light, especially when it's fluctuating. Because a fixed budget can be easier, but that's not why we're all entrepreneurs to have a fixed budget. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talk about budget being the financial blueprint.
Yep.
A forecast, a money plan.
Yep.
I love this one, an abundance plan.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, just give it a personal name.
Yeah. Like Franklin.
Franklin.
Like Ben Franklin.
Oh my gosh.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
That's twice. That's 2 money puns so far.
That's punny.
Mm-hmm. It is punny. But, regardless of what it is that you name it, I mean, again, it's the name. So if it's going to assist you in having a powerful relationship or assist you in rescripting your relationship to money, then name it something. It's just a great opportunity.
I mean, if you name your car, you can name your budget. Okay. Yeah, everybody names their car something.
I know. I don't have a name.
I've never named. Yeah, I know you have named cars.
I have?
Yes.
Oh, well, just the Z Bunny.
No.
What was the other one?
You had a Honda, I thought.
What did I name the Honda?
Like Titus or?
No, that was my sister.
Oh. Gotcha. Anyway.
So.
Rename it.
Yeah, rename it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So talk about the mindset.
Well, to what you were saying before, just to reiterate a different way of looking at it as well, is money's the tool. And it's nothing more, nothing less. Just like you said, it's currency, nothing more, nothing less. If you don't use the tool, then you don't get the results of using the tool. So, it's not about how much you earn. It's about what you do with the money. At Keller Williams, one of the bold laws is money funds the perfect life. That's it. That's it. It's nothing more, nothing less. And so now if you have that mindset, you've got a new name for your financial plan, and now you have a new belief, or you're starting to assimilate and integrate the new belief around money being a tool. And so now that's your mindset. Remember, so purpose of money, and again, to fund the perfect life, it's with the plan and the strategy. How are you going to fund the perfect life? So how you do that dramatically increases when you move through your whole financial plan and your financial goals, and then ultimately you will be able to fund your perfect life by having that financial plan. So it just is just surrender to it, surrender to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say now you have this new mindset practice, or this new mindset that you're, again, integrating and imbuing. Ask yourself, since I am in charge of proactively managing my money, how can I direct my money so that it works for me?
Yes.
So our answer to that, when we asked us this question, it was around having the plan. So what is the plan? What is a budget? And so having a financial plan is so incredibly straightforward. I mean, it really is. You have your income, you have your expenses, and you take your income less expenses, and that equals what you have left over. And then when you have money left over at the end of at the end of the month, then you can direct how it is that you're going to use that. If you don't have any money left over at the end of the month, well, then you need to go back and look at your expenses.
Right. And and again, it's being intentional. And this, if you've listened to this podcast for the first, 86, 87 episodes or so,
something.
I would have to say that probably one of the biggest words that comes up in all of our podcasts is intentionality. Intentional. Being intentional about what you're doing. And being intentional is another way of saying being conscious, having a conscious conversation, having some conscious thought about what you're going to do with your money.
Yes.
Absolutely. So be conscious about it.
Yeah.
Because to be unconscious about it is really to be in denial. And if you do have any money, or when you do have any leftover money at the end of the month, it's if you're not intentional about it, then it could go anywhere.
Oh yeah, you will spend it,
and it will go everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fascinating whether we're coaching new agents or seasoned agents. We discuss this topic a lot because we assist them in the flow of money, because again, it's all about the relationship, sex, money, real estate. And one of the things that we talk about is having the emergency fund as well. And so in the beginning, as you're aligning with your budget, aligning with your expenses, and that there is leftover money, it's putting that leftover or extra money into the emergency fund to assist in holding your budget accountable. So if you have $10 left over at the end of the month, then put that in your emergency fund, or put that, we call it our abundance fund here in our household, the abundance fund, because we don't want to plan for an emergency. So again, back to intentionality. So the emergency fund, we model this conversation around Dave Matthews. Oh my gosh. That was so funny.
Nice. Well, we did have his greatest hits playing the other day. So
we did.
Yeah.
Back to Dave Ramsey.
we model our conversation after Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps.
Yeah,
right?
financial peace.
Yeah. Our personal financial coach also encourages us to have 6 to 9 months of cash reserves.
Yes.
So, because, and really that's because it could be less if you're employed, but because we're self-employed, that 6 to 9 months is really important, right?
And so what he says is $500 or $1,000, like get to $500 as quick as you can, and then ultimately get to $1,000. And Dave says, to have that emergency fund, but the bigger fund, the 6 to 9 months of cash reserves, Dave says 3 to 6 months, depending on where you are. But again, because, we are self-employed, we're back to that 6 to 9 months.
Yep.
Because, I'm sure you guys remember that little thing known as the pandemic.
Right. We're not talking about the Spanish flu of 1902.
No, not at all. Like, in some parts of the country, unfortunately, they're still experiencing that. And so, thankfully, we have 9 months in cash reserves, and we were okay. And thankfully, we didn't necessarily dip into that prayerfully. And it's because we put the budget in place, because we put the emergency fund or abundance fund in place, and because we put those other measures in place, paid off our credit card debt snowball, so on and so forth, which are some of the other baby steps of Dave Ramsey. But we had that cash reserve, and again, we were okay. However, 20 years of being 100% commission based, it's definitely the creating the budget part, I would say, was the number one piece. That was integral.
Absolutely. That is acknowledging the acknowledging money.
Yeah.
I was going to say acknowledging the problem, but I guess it is a problem if you haven't acknowledged using a budget or acknowledged your money or whatever. I just didn't want to use that language, but at the end of the day, you have to acknowledge it in some way.
Well, that's like what you were saying before about acknowledging the denial. Like once you come up and out of it and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I need to take a look at this. We're $90,000 in credit card debt.
Right.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a problem. But again, unless you identify and acknowledge it, you can never establish a baseline. And so now that we have that, we establish the baseline. It's like, okay, cool. So let's create a budget from here, and then it's onwards and upwards.
Yep.
So,
anywho. And we're not saying Dave, we use Dave Ramsey's system because it works. It just works.
Yeah, and it's principally driven.
Yes. And, if it works for you, great. And if there's another system that works for you, great. But, the point is to get on some kind of system so that you can create the wealth that you want and, and just be able to live the life that you want to live, for yourself, for the generations to come, or however you want to do it. But just get on something. But with Dave Ramsey, it's straightforward. It's easy. Free classes are offered everywhere for it, so you can really dig in on it. So,
and your office may offer a class on it too. Yeah, or there may be somebody who's
churches
financial peace certified, and you could strike up a conversation with them and say, "Hey, I'll help you round up 30 people. Let's cultivate this amazing conversation and mastermind around money, and have it at the office, or have it on Zoom if you're still doing Zoom." So. Anywho, there may be the resistance to doing it, to doing the budget. Again, we've seen it time and time again in the coaching, and we see it in our clients too when they're trying to buy a house.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, wait a minute, I got to scramble to find out what my expenses are, or where my income is, or here's my bank statement. I think I have an account over here, or that's fascinating when you go into a listing appointment and they pull open the drawer, and I'm like, oh. That's a whole drawer full of unopened bills.
Right.
That's a totally different conversation.
Yeah, totally.
But, here it is really appropriate to slow down with our clients and to have that conversation around having irregular income. So, and really, again, what if budgeting is actually the problem, like the resistance to getting into budget, or even backing up to that in tandem with that is, what if I don't know how to create a budget? I mean, it can be really difficult. Like there just may not be anything.
So we acknowledge that you're in real estate.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a fluctuating income.
Yes, you are.
I mean,
you are.
It's going to be seasonal. You're going to get these big lump sums of money that will carry you through several months of expenses.
Yep.
And
we're experiencing that now. I mean, our June and July are huge.
Yeah, it's unbelievable right now.
Crazy.
Yep.
And, so we're experiencing that as far as, budgeting that out for the rest of the year and even into next year.
So creating a personal budget can be extremely difficult with the fluctuating income. And conversely, if you're running your business at a high level, having your business budget can be difficult as well. Marketing and advertising and stuff like that. So I digress a little bit with that, but I just want to mention that we have an opportunity to look at it twofold. So the trick is that while your income fluctuates, with some planning,
yes,
your spending doesn't have to really fluctuate that much.
Right. And that's the key here, is that even though the income is variable, you can fix most of your spending. And so controlling the spending becomes the focus.
Right.
And that's huge. So, what do I mean by that? And so this is a 2-part series. So we're going to do personal budget first, and then we're going to go into the business budget in the next episode. Because otherwise, it's just a lot. And so we want you guys to be able to break down your personal budget first, and then to have your business budget. So personal expenses, what are they? Those fixed personal expenses. And Bill and I call these our necessities. And so necessities are things that keep the house stable. So the foundation, the 4 walls, and the roof. So what are those things?
Well, let's see. So we got rent and mortgage and utilities.
Yep.
Our phones, for sure. I mean, they double for business, right?
Yeah.
So phones are necessary. Car payments, insurance.
Groceries. That lovely food bill.
Got to eat. Yes. and education or tuition or continuing education or whatever it is, that keeps you or your spouse or your family members, your kids moving down the line as well.
Right. So those are predominantly the fixed. There may be, you may have a couple more, but those are generally our fixed expenses for the personal. And then we have random, gas and entertainment,
which
restaurants.
You got to include those restaurants for sure. The credit cards can be fluctuating. They can also be fixed if you're committed to paying them off. That's a step with Dave Ramsey and snowballing your debt. Subscription services can be random or fixed, and always a great first thing to look at when you're doing a budget as what is necessary and what's not.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Netflix or Amazon or any of those.
Yeah, gym. You could have a car wash subscription. You could have, we live Sirius.
Sirius. Yeah, we live in such a subscription-based society now that my experience with some of the coaching clients is they have so many subscriptions that they don't even know what they're subscribed to, and they have to actually go through and like line item all the subscriptions. They're like, oh wow, I haven't used whatever subscription, Blockbuster since 1985.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So
exactly, it's fascinating. There is a little bit of a hack that we realized. There was a silver lining. So we have been hacked. Our identity theft has happened to us a couple of times from using a debit card online. And so because we had most of our things were subscription based or like on automatic payments, because we had the new credit card come, because we had to cancel the old credit card, and we had the new credit card come or debit card come, all of a sudden we had all of these people saying, hey, your payment wasn't received. Can you pay your payment?
Right.
And it was based on the identity theft that, lo and behold, we've found like all of these things, not all of them. I mean, there weren't a lot, but there were some that we were like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. Like our, it was business expenses over personal expenses, but it was things like send out cards, or it was like we had an extraneous QuickBooks subscription. I was like, oh my God, I'm canceling that. I'm canceling that. I'm canceling that.
Right.
So so change your credit card. You may want to cancel your credit card every now and then and just, get a new one. I know that may be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's a great way that we found out how we had some of those things that we didn't know about. This is, a few years ago. Anywho, so variable expenses could be hygiene, nails, hair, haircuts, again, obviously clothing and purchases, things like that.
Yep.
Anything personal. Amazon's a big one. Starbucks is a big one. Anything extracurricular. So how do you budget for random expenses?
Man.
I'm telling you, it can be tricky. This one was a little bit of a, it's a long game is what this one is, because you got to figure out whatever those irregular expenses are, but you got to track it for a year.
Yeah, you got to add them all up, right?
Yeah, you got to track them for a year. You got to add them all up and then divide by 12. So if you have, let's say you spend $100 every 3 months to get your hair done. Well, so now you have $400 over the course of the year, and then you divide that by 12, and then you put aside that amount of money over the course of those 12 months, so that every 3 months, you know that you've got the $100 in the bank and you can just, pay for it.
Yep.
So, but what that means is you need to plan this out. This is an ongoing exercise. So it definitely takes discipline, accountability, a coach.
And yet it's simple.
For sure.
It may not be easy in the beginning, but it is simple. So
it's definitely simple. So those are expenses. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about expenses?
No, let's talk about budgeting strategies when you have irregular or seasonal fluctuating income.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's two things. So again, the income is going to fluctuate based on season, based on location, based on price point, based on pandemic, all of those things. So if you, over the course of time, and if you have been in business for 3 years or more, this is the long game. So what is your income over the course of the last 3 years? So if your income,
the average,
and then you take the average. So it's, if your income has been $100,000 over the last 3 years, great. Then it's $100,000 and that's your income. So you budget based on $100,000 income, so that because for the last 3 years, you've averaged $100,000 a year. So then, that's the amount of income that comes in when you add that to your financial plan, and then you can allocate for expenses and go from there.
And how do you know that you can pretty much count on that $100,000? Because that's your financial thermostat.
Yes, it is.
And that is another episode that we have earlier on. If you want to check that one out.
Yeah. So again, if you want to increase your financial thermostat, go listen to the episode.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. So,
cool. So then what?
This was another thing that we decided to do, was make a budget for great times. Yes. So we're like flush, money's rolling in. Like we made a budget for when we had the good times, and then we made a budget for lean times.
Yep.
Like, when we really needed to, not have restaurant expenses, or not shop for clothes, or not shop for new shoes, or not get, my hair done, or things like that, and just really be prepared for those leaner times. So by having the two budgets, you can fluctuate, or basically you can utilize both of those budgets and figure out where you're spending in the middle of that. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's ideal to use both of those tools in tandem, though. So if you have, your income, your average income, and then you have those other two budgets, whether it's the lean budget or the flush budget, you can utilize the budgets to reduce your spending. That's the key. It's reducing the spending, because you can always generate more money. The key is to reduce the spending. So just utilize those two in tandem. And, again, increasing the income looks like prospecting more or a side hustle or just
profit share.
Profit share.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But it can definitely be done. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear.
Me?
Well, no, I want to hear from from our peeps.
I was just
from
checking.
Our folks. Well, you can always share with me.
Well, what I want to share is that, the thing about money and budgeting is it's because it tends to be an area of low maturity. And what we talk about here with our coaching is when there's low maturity, there is a need for a higher accountability.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so, decide what you want to do and what you really are going to play for. A savings account, an emergency fund, an abundance fund, a new car, whatever it is, and lay out your budget and enroll somebody who does it better than you to hold you accountable to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and eat a little bit of that humble pie, because I'm sure there's some feelings coming up for you where it's like, if I talk to so-and-so about me being accountable to a budget, they may feel a certain way about me now. Maybe if you feel like they're going to feel like you less about you, or, may change how they're looking at you, but it's just not really true. It's just, they just happen to have more acumen with working with a budget.
Mm-hmm.
So go to those people, because they're going to be happy to help you, because they want you to succeed too.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so get on a budget. Dave Ramsey has one. Mint is another great one. When we're going to put some links in the, we're going to put some links in the notes, I believe.
Yeah. Your bank probably has a budget.
Yeah, that's true.
We currently bank with, BB&T, now Truist.
Right.
And they have a budgeting tool.
Yep.
I know, most banks have budgeting tools incorporated. And so the great thing is that all of your transactions directly feed right into the spending. And then it's got all these beautiful graphs, and you can, move the graph around and allocate spending and adjust things. And you can really do some cool things with all of their different tools. I know QuickBooks does have budgeting tools and all the reports associated with it. NerdWallet definitely has budgeting tools. So there's definitely stuff out there for sure to assist you in establishing the budget and just walk you through. And again, it's nothing more than filling in your income, filling in your expenses, and doing the math of what is left over. And then your first step is whatever is left over, you fulfill your abundance fund, your emergency fund. You get to $500 as quick as you can. Then you move to $1,000 as quick as you can. And then Tony Robbins talks about moving to $2,000 after that $1,000 as quick as you can. So.
And if you are watching the video version of this podcast, which I guess would be more like a vlog, I guess, we have a picture up here of the Tony Robbins book. That is pretty amazing for sure.
It's his money book, Master the Game. 7 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom.
So. I'm going to say that book is for somebody who maybe has already kind of dipped their toe in it and are looking to go to the next level.
I would say. I mean, it's definitely an intermediate or advanced level book for sure.
And then if you are working on just dipping your toe in and working on that whole mindset thing around it, then one book that made a huge impact on Nancy and I and a whole lot of our friends was a Jen Sincero book. She's the one that writes. She's great. She's a great author.
Yeah.
She writes. She's written several different books, and one of the ones that made an impact on Nancy and I was "You Are a Badass at Making Money." Again, that's by Jen Sincero, and we'll put links in the. But it'll definitely help with mindset, 100%.
Yeah.
And so will Nancy and I.
Yeah.
So you can call us.
Yes.
You can email us. You can direct message us. You can PM us.
PM.
I think that's personal message on Facebook.
DM?
DM? I've seen PM and DM.
Okay. That kind of sounds like
per
AOL.
Per DM. It does, doesn't it? You have money.
You have money. Oh my gosh, that's great. Yes. So how do you manage your money? Do you have a budget? How do you adjust your spending for your irregular income? We are very curious.
Yes.
So
leave a comment, reach out to us, let us know how we can help. And that's what we got for today. But this is only part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So fasten your seatbelts, kids. Part 2 is coming around the business budget.
Yes.
That'll be next.
Awesome.
So peace goes out. Love goes out. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're inspired, we ask that you share the podcast with one person and subscribe and follow the show. I'm Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And remember, it's a great life.
Quick note about the Sex, Money, and Real Estate podcast. We are not doctors or licensed therapists. We are a joyous, abundant, and mature couple passionately sharing our story of growth around sex, money, and real estate. Our thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are our own, so please consult your doctor, healthcare provider, or your broker regarding any questions or issues you have related to your physical or mental health or specific state laws regarding your real estate business.